I think if you define my career, it's about quality work, making kids feel special, and connecting. Yeah. Yeah, so I started out teaching elementary school. I taught fifth grade and fourth grade at Scott Elementary in Temple ISD for a few years, and then I thought I wanted to try middle school, so I taught middle school in Temple, and then I was a middle school assistant principal at Travis Middle School in Temple, and I ran across my mentor while I was a middle school assistant principal, and Dr. Vivian Baker, who was superintendent of Belton ISD, and she left to become, to go back to Belton to become a principal. And she called me late in the summer of, I think, 2000, and said, "Hey, there's a principal opening in Belton. You might be interested." And that was kind of the extent of the conversation. And I said, "Okay." And my husband said, "I think you ought to go check it out." And I was pretty happy where I was, but I went and checked it out, and sure enough, ended up in Belton. I was principal at the intermediate school there, and then Vivian would become the superintendent within a couple of years, and she would say, I think you could be the assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction. So you pulled me right up with her, and I did that for a few years and loved it so much, and learned a lot as assistant super for CNI. So I spent 17 years in the central office at Belton ISD, 19 years total there, and then decided I needed a change and ended up in Waco ISD and have been here for 5 years. Well, first of all, it's a really hard job. Being superintendent is, I told a group this morning, it's about being all in, right? Because it will consume you. There are just so many moving pieces to this job. So this week I went to the bilingual literacy event at Hillcrest Elementary, and I stood and I watched kids reading books with their parents, and that's it. That's what it's about. If you reduce it all the way down to what it's about these kids and the love I have for them, and all the way to my why, right? Yeah. Which was my why as a child, and that love and connection that teachers have with students. And I think that's what it's all about. Yeah, I don't know what that's going to feel like yet. So everyone keeps asking me, what are your plans? And I keep saying, I don't have any plans. I want to take a little break and rest. I've been a superintendent for 14 years. I'm a little bit tired. So I want to get some rest, and then I just want to see what life brings me. And I don't know what that wants to look like yet, but I'll find my way. I love getting to orchestrate the vision of the district and connecting with people. And so, for me in the classroom, it was about connecting with kids. When I went to assistant sup for CNI, it was about connecting with the teachers. And as the superintendent, it's connecting with everyone. And I love that. I love connecting with kids. I love connecting with teachers. I love connecting with the board. I love connecting with the community and building relationships and focusing on the work and doing the work that you're supposed to do every day with high integrity. It draws people to you because in the end, that's what it's about. And I'm not big on fancy words and speeches and that kind of thing. I really am focused on making sure that we're doing quality work for kids. And I think that's it. And then I just don't want to ever be bigger than I am, right? I'm just a person like everyone else. And so I just really try to stay grounded. Being about the work, we've put a lot of systems in place to help our kids be successful, and implemented new programs, revitalized, libraries, and built new school buildings. And I just want the good quality work to continue, no matter who it is and in whatever way they do it, with their own style. As long as they're focused on quality for kids, I'm all about that. So I hope that's my legacy. I could tell hundreds of stories of things that have happened in schools over the years, because there's always something happening, and kids are just so delightful. Most recently, I was at Dean Highland Elementary, and a student was in line, and he said, "Dr. Kincannon," he said, "do you remember me from 2 years ago?" And of course, I hugged him and said, "Yes, I remember you, honey," And it was the sweetest moment. Not a funny moment, but it was just such a precious sweet moment with a kid who connected with me. Sure, I really try to stay connected with my leaders of my schools, because I know if I feed into them, they're going to feed into their staff, and that goes all the way to the kids. Every touch matters with people, and so I make that a priority with my school leaders.
What do you want to say to your school leaders? What do you want to say to Waco ISD?
Yeah, I'm just so proud of what we've accomplished over the last 5 years. I'm proud of each and every one of our leaders. I sat here in this boardroom on Tuesday, I believe it was, and listened to the rich conversation that they were having about instruction and kids and making a difference for kids. And I was just in awe of them. We talk about wisdom works wonders, our new motto that goes with this logo, and it's meaningful. It really does. The knowledge that they carry will work wonders for their teachers and their kids. And so I stand in awe of them and how they've grown as leaders over the last 5 years, and I feel really proud of that.
You've got 3 books.
Yeah.
Tell me about these books.
So I was thinking about what I wanted to say today, and I'm a reader.
Yes.
So there are 3 books that have been important to me in my career, and this one was my first book that I fell in love with. And if you had asked me a few years ago what my favorite book is, this would have been in my exact, and it's still a favorite book, but The Fifth Discipline, and this book is about systems. And it's how you pull it all together and make things happen in a school district, and it's complex. This is a very technical book about building mental models with people and how all the pieces have to come together to make a whole. I started with this book with our principals when I came to Waco ISD. I actually read them a children's book. I didn't read them this book, but I read them a children's book, and we talked about what we wanted to build together. And I listened to their ideas, and we started working on the work, right? So this is about systems thinking and about how all the pieces are interconnected and how that works. My next favorite book is The Power of Moments, and this is a fabulous book, and it is about the authors talk about what's important in life. And when we get to the end of it, what are we going to remember? So when our kids finish school and their time with us, what are they going to remember? Are they going to remember the pits, or are they going to remember the peaks? And what makes those peaks, and how can we create moments with kids so that when they leave us, they remember the special moments, whether that be something they learned about themselves, a moment of insight, whether that be just a really great experience of a field day on a Friday, their 5th grade year. That's a moment of elevation. Or maybe it's pride in something that they accomplished while they're with us. And so I use this book to teach our leaders about the importance of making those moments special for kids, because we want them to remember the special things and not the hard things in life when they reflect on their time. And then the last couple of years, I have been really into this book, and this is Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown. And what Brene has done in this book is to categorize 87 human emotions. And this has been especially important since COVID, and things have changed so drastically over the last few years, and we've had to spend more time processing feelings. And you can't process feelings unless you have the language about what those feelings mean and why you're feeling that way. And when things get a little hairy, I go pull this book out and I try to understand what is the emotion that I'm feeling, and maybe what are the emotions that my leaders are feeling, so I can help them process. And we had to do some processing in the spring. We pulled everyone together in a group in this room in a circle, and we talked about feelings. What are you feeling right now, and how are we going to work through this? Are you stressed? Are you overwhelmed? Are you blown? And sometimes you just have to regroup and understand what it is that's happening to you emotionally, so that you can move forward. So it's a pretty technical book itself, not as technical as The Fifth Discipline, but it really is kind of a dictionary of human emotion And human emotion is just really risen to the top for employees, and really helping employees kind of push through. And our teachers have really hard jobs.
Yeah.
Our principals have really hard jobs. And we have to process what we're feeling and what we're dealing with in with the hard things that we're dealing with. So I love this book. So I think if you define my career, it's about quality work, making kids feel special, and connecting. Yeah, to continue listening to the people, listening to the teachers, to the parents, to the administrators. And also finding your confidence, being confident in what you're doing, and brave to do this work, because it is hard work. So I think, focus on the work. Might be my best advice. Focus on the work and focus on connecting with people. It's that love and connection piece. I was a foster child. So I was one of 6 girls. We were removed from our home, and while I was in the 3rd grade, and I had 2 biological uncles whom I'd never met, and they found out that we had been split up. Some were in family care, some were in foster care. I was in foster care with my sister, who's just right underneath me. And the 2 uncles decided to get together, one from Texas and one from New Mexico. And they drove to Alabama, and they picked up 6 girls.
Where in Alabama?
Mobile.
Okay, I lived in Mobile.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Wow.
And so they picked us up, and of course, half of us went to Texas, half into New Mexico. And when I got to Texas, I was in the home of a teacher, because my aunt, my biological uncle's wife, was a 5th grade teacher. And I was in a brand new school building, Martin Walker Elementary School in Coppers Cove. And it was the first year of that school to open, and it actually opened in the fall, actually at Christmas of the year I arrived in my 4th grade year. And my teacher was Mrs. Frances Killingsworth. And Mrs. Frances Killingsworth was amazing. She was amazing at love and connection and making you feel special, and never forgot it. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to pay that forward for kids, and that's my why, right? It's about making kids feel special, creating moments for them, connecting with them, loving them, and then imparting that wisdom, right? Because it does work wonders. It worked a wonder in my life.